And one, two, three, action. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Real Channel. My name's Casey. If you're just tuning in, this channel is about retiring early so you can live life the way you want to. Tonight, I want to bring you, I want to talk about what I think is, one or two of the worst case scenarios for retiring early, and possibly even, discuss, what you can do, if these were to happen. So the number one thing I came up with was the fact that you simply become really unhappy. Um, Maybe that shows itself in boredom, lack of energy, lack of motivation, lack of discipline to do the things that you would wanted to do while you were considering retiring early. And most likely, the reason you're unhappy is due to the fact that your status has changed. You're no longer that you're no longer in that job or that profession that you attach yourself to, and it's possible that you miss it. Maybe you miss the relationships that you developed at work, your work friend groups, and you don't see people, nearly as often, or if at all. It's certainly a possibility. When you leave, work, you no longer talk to the people that you had worked with before. You've lost the routine that you once had for so long. You're used to getting up early, going to work for a certain period of time, coming home, and then you have, your after work routine. And now all of a sudden, that routine is completely, in disarray, and you're not really sure how to go on without that routine in your life. So again, as I mentioned, you're probably suffering some unhappiness, possibly, we call this boredom. Um, but I want you to consider the fact that this initial unhappiness that we feel, um, it's really not necessarily directly related to your work status, your work routine, your work friends at all. It's I think it's probably more related to the fact that once we strip away all the things that we've identified with for so long. Airplane flying over. I don't know if you can hear it or not. But anyway, you become that thing. For example, like I've been a teacher for the past 20 plus years. So when people ask me what I do for a living, naturally I'm just simply going to tell them I'm a teacher. I think a lot of people ask this question. Maybe it's like their initial judgment of you, but regardless, you have this attachment to that thing. That's who you are. And from what I have read, like the more status that's tied to your job, um, the more deeply we tie ourselves to that position. For example, if you're really, really proud of the fact that you're a lawyer or a doctor or whatever the case may be, you feel that your life is important because you are that thing. So, and it doesn't have to be something that extreme, right? It could be any job, any position you have. We think we're rather important. We're tied to this position. So if we stop doing that thing, we leave it behind, well, then our life is less meaningful or less significant. But try to follow me if you can here. Like I actually think that losing that status, losing that job title, it's potentially the best thing that could happen to you, and doesn't even really have to be with retirement. It could be at any stage in your life. I think we kind of learned this during the lockdown. Like for example, as a teacher, we were locked down in March, and we're more or less isolated in our homes. And the only way we could connect with our students was via online learning. And honestly, it didn't really work that well. Then that went on for a couple months. Well, actually, part of March, April, and May, and then we rolled into summer under more or less the same conditions. And a lot of people really struggled during that time period because, well, they lost their work identity, and they lost their routine. They weren't around their friends, and they really, really struggled with it. On the other hand, there were some people, I think I kind of fell into this position, was that I kind of reveled in the fact that, I had a really dramatic life shakeup to my status, my routine. And I found that it really gave me time to, well, to not rely on the external things in my life that I was attached to. Um, I no longer had things to fall back on. I had to look inward to myself and really, really take a look at, what made me tick. What kind of things make me happy? What kind of things did I find myself content with? Um, and to be honest with you, like in my case, I liked the results. It kind of gave me a clear vision of, my life, my future, and what I wanted it to become. Outside of work, outside of being a teacher, outside of my work routine. I really think it's going to be um, maybe the most exciting chapter of my life because now, even though I am going to be receiving a pension, like I mentioned in some of my other videos, it's going to be dramatically reduced, and I won't be able to do, or I won't be able to buy all the things that I could have in the past. So I think that's really a good thing, to be honest with you, because I'm not going to be in a position to go buy myself or buy my way into happiness, buy my way into status. I'm going to have to really, take a look at who I am, what it is that I want out of the years that I have left, and then move forward from there. So again, that the first case, or the first scenario that I gave you that could be potentially negative to retiring early, the loss of status, loss of routine, loss of friends. Um, if you can, try to look at it as a positive. It's a challenge for sure, perhaps, a risk, but nevertheless, it's probably going to give you a chance that you've never had before, especially if you've only had one job or one career path in your life. For me, I've had several, and each time I switched positions, each time I switched jobs, um, and not just within the teaching field, but completely different jobs. It was always exciting. It was something new, and I was really, really anticipating the change. So as again, I'm within my 6 month window of retiring early. At this point, I still say that I couldn't be more excited to move on. Um, the second worst case scenario that I came up with was that you simply, financially, it's just not working out for you. You don't have the money flow that you anticipated. You don't like the change in lifestyle that retiring early has brought, and so that makes you unhappy. And this one is possibly an easy fix. Not that I agree with it, or not that I really see myself doing this, but like if you find yourself unhappy because you're not making the same amount of money that you were making before, you can always go back to work full time. To me, um, at least in theory, right now, 6 months out, I don't see that as an option. I'm really looking forward to kind of becoming the master of my own daily schedule. And I'm not saying I won't work, but like if I, sense or get a feeling that, like I'm going to want to make more money, or I need more money for whatever reason, or I simply don't like the fact that I don't have the routine I had before. Well, then I'll figure out a part-time job, a side hustle, if you will. Um, but if that happens, I can only hope moving forward that whatever it is that I do is something that that I'm doing for myself. I really don't want to see myself um, working for somebody else on somebody else's schedule moving forward. So again, those are my top two worst case scenarios for retiring early. And to be honest with you, I don't think either one of them is really all that bad, and they're definitely not insurmountable. So if you find yourself in this position and you're thinking about, kind of fixated on the bad things that could happen if you retire early, just keep in mind that truly nothing is really good or bad in the short term. You have to work your way through, a situation, an event, and then the determination of whether or not it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. That's not going to come till well down the road. You may think you're in a bad situation and it's not working out, but then as time continues, something new develops, and it's like, well, wow, this would not have happened if I had stayed in the position I was before. It simply wouldn't have been, wouldn't have fit into my lifestyle. So again, hope you liked the video. If you liked it, hit the like button. Consider subscribing. My next video I'm going to drop in a couple of days, and it's going to be what I consider the best case scenarios for retiring early. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. All right, JoJo. We got this, didn't we? We got this, bud. We got this.